Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in here. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy you are able to be here this morning. Come on in. It doesn't matter where you are viewing from, whether you are in the Caribbean, in Canada, Nigeria, United States. You are welcome. We are so happy to have you this morning, because we're going to have real talk, real topics, real friends, real topics. So we are super excited this morning. I hope everyone is having some great weather. I know we had a lot of rain last week, but hopefully it is easing up and it is getting better wherever you are viewing from. Good morning, Agnes. Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Welcome to Build Your Best Life with Deborah D. Smith. My platform is designed to assist high school age and young adult males as they follow my basic principles to overcome obstacles from their personal lives and all those many things that society throws at them, you know, gangs and bullying and murder and all those things. This website is designed to help them to overcome those obstacles to build their best lives. I believe it is better to train early rather than to fix later. So I cannot wait this morning, as you know, because this only comes once a month, but Real Talk with Deborah and Anastasia. So I am super excited that we are able to be on this morning. Good morning, Anastasia.
Good morning, Miss Deborah. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I see that we have a great topic going this morning.
Yes, yes, yes.
And your background reflects it so awesomely. I love the color scheme. It's great.
Thank you. Yes, we are prepare for life, graduate. Prepare for life, graduate. So awesome. You know, there are so
Well,
many things in life, you know, that life holds. So everybody just needs to give themselves a jump start. You need to graduate. That is so, so important that you do that. So everybody get on here, share the link, get on here, because we're getting ready to get started.
it's so great that you are doing a topic like this morning, because we in the Bahamas, we do not exactly have our graduation rate from our government schools readily and available. I know that you guys do a lot of research and statistics, and you make those things openly available to everybody, and I'm waiting for us to get to that point where we just have all of those things at the reach of a click. But what we do here is we have a lot of information based in our requirements for the national diploma. And what was interesting with that is this year they've decided to make that a part of the requirements for private schools also. And in times past, we didn't do that. So the national diploma is the requirements of it are a certain amount of hours of community service. You have to have a certain attendance rate, attendance percentage, and there's a GPA that you need to meet. There are different requirements for it. And we've usually left our private schools to fend for themselves and do what it is that they want to do, and whatever their criterias are, nobody ever messed with it, and it was fine. But my son is graduating 12th for 2022. And I was extremely surprised when they had a meeting for the parents and the students, and we were told that, you know, that's a part of what will be given to them this year. So our graduation rate is expected to be a lot higher, considering they are including the private schools in it now. And then along with our graduations, then there is the BGCSE exams. And our average is unfortunately a D nationally. And I have no idea what they're going to do to try and combat that and what they're going to do to try and improve it. But I know that the first step in that is that the system that they're using is very archaic. So what is it that you guys use over in the US that you think has helped with your graduation rate? First of all, I know that you would be able to have that information. So what is your graduation rate like? And then also, how do you think it can be improved on, or what do you think is in place now that has helped it to be at what it is?
Well, in the United States, we have Pew. It's a government system that it takes in data for everything possible. So when they do the census, they get a lot of information, but they can give you dissect any and everything. So as far as the schools, the latest data is the graduation rate for 2018 to 2019 school year, which was 86%. And that's the highest that it has been since they started capturing that level of information, which was the 2010-2011 school year. So it has risen. Now I say 86%, but then they break that down. The Asian Pacific Islanders graduation rate is 93%. And then you go all the way down to 74% for American Indian and Alaska Natives. They put that group together. Whites are 89%, Hispanic 82%, and blacks are 80%. So we're kind of that 86%, we're on the lower end. Now they also break everything down by states. So now Texas is in the higher rank. So any school that has a graduation rate of 90% or higher is looked at the higher end. So Texas is in there, and Alabama as well. So there are a total of 8 of our 50 states that are 90% or higher. And then Florida falls in the middle along with 40 other states, and that's in the range of 80 to 90% graduation rate. So Florida, Illinois was in there, as well as California. So that's how they break that down. The graduation rate, it was funny as I was doing my research. Now, you know, it's always going to be some naysayers. So they're doing some additional study because they're saying they don't know if the graduation rate is higher because they are monitoring it higher. I mean, they're monitoring it more. I know probably, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe someone that's out there can tell me exactly when it was, but they had to fire some of the I think superintendents and teachers because they were actually you know, because in order to get the, you know, the graduation rates and to go from grade to grade, not only is it based off of their day-to-day schoolwork, but they have certain tests that they have to pass, and a lot of those tests has been proven to be biased, and a lot of them were manipulating, fixing it so the testing grades were higher, so that the kids could graduate, because a child could have a honor roll for the entire school year and then fail this standardized test and have to repeat a grade. So, you know, uh, that didn't seem fair. So these teachers in Georgia were manipulating the data. So they're saying they don't know if the graduation rate is really that high. But I just, think it's just so important, and it's a lot of things, and I know we'll get into that later, that I think if they would step up and do, that the graduation rate would go up higher and higher, and it would be legitimate information.
Well, that would be very important because if they started doing it a few years ago, then I can understand them thinking that the effect of it would be seen today. That's pretty understandable. But do you think that the teachers were valid in their reasoning for what they did?
Well, the reasoning was, I think, valid, but you just can't, take it upon yourself to do something like that. They could have easily got prison time or whatever, but manipulating data like that or whatever. But it's hard to sit back and know that you are responsible for a group of individuals that already have so many things going against them. And then you have this testing that is not, even across the board. So, it's hard to sit back a lot of times and not do anything. What can I do to help? So they were trying to help. I understand that. I can understand that as a parent.
Yeah. Well, graduating is very important. It is one of those milestones that a lot of students use to measure what their success rate is going to be later on in life. And it's what a lot of educators use to measure how well it is they did with a student for the 10 months that they had them. And in some cases, like especially with special subjects teachers, they can have one set of kids for 3 years, 4 years. And so, they get pretty invested. And so a lot of times they use graduations as a measure to how well they did, not only just how well the child did. And so I see the importance in it, and I understand why it is that so much weight is placed on it. But I believe that students also need to know that it's not an ending point, that is just one of the steps. And that step does not determine how all of the other steps are going to go. They need to understand that, okay, while you were younger, you may have made some choices, you may have made some decisions that weren't in your best interest or won't get you to where you want to be quicker. But that still doesn't mean that you won't get there eventually. So what are your thoughts on the importance of graduation? Because I know that those teachers that were messing with that data, they thought that it was extremely important, but their method was not the right one used for them to get the results that they wanted. So what's your thought on the importance of graduating?
I believe that graduation is very essential to one's life. You've gone to school for many as early as age 3, and each year you have gleaned more and more information that you will need in life. As we go through school, or children go through school, they'll come up on a particular subject, and it's, why do I have to learn this? I'm not going to ever use this. But, they will find out eventually somewhere in life, yes, you will need that information. So it is very vital, I think, for all individuals to graduate from at least from high school. I think college is important as well, unless you're going into a trade field. But that's because what that is actually saying is, I have attended school, I have paid attention, I have learned the required information, I'm able to function in life as a human. As I say a wise human. I know I know a little bit. I know something about history. I know about science, mathematics, writing. All of this information is key. And reading, a lot, especially they say African Americans don't like to read, but reading is so essential. And when I give my information on STEM later on, you'll see that, reading is that vital thing. And a lot of times that's when we need to take those tablets and things away from our kids and give them a book and say, hey, you need to read this. You read this for however long, and then you get to do something else, a tablet or a video game or whatever. But that's saying that you have gleaned all this information over the years. You're to a point now that you've learned this is basic information, and you're able to function, so you can go and get a job. And when you get that money, you should be able to know how to take care of those finances. You should know. You wouldn't learn this from school, but from church, about your tithe. But then you should be able to know at least how to do a budget, how you need to have a checking account, which, writing checks is very minimal now, but still some people require checks. So you need to know that information. You need to know if you want to get an apartment or make a purchase, what are some of the things that you need to do. So you need to know about interest rates. You would have learned about that in math, in those higher math classes. So graduation is very important because it's at a point where it's saying you have been in school, you have learned these key requirements, you're ready for life.
Being ready for life is very, very important. I heard you mention the ability to rent an apartment and the ability to, calculate your percentage of tithes when it comes to you giving to the church and things like that. And I believe that we do not have enough financial reasoning taught to our kids. We tell them, okay, a lot of parents, we'll give them, let's say $10 for the week. They know that there's 5 school days, and so they know they have to average out that $2 in a week. But when it is that they want something and they have a goal that they're trying to achieve, something that they want to purchase, then they have to figure out, okay, so how am I going to turn this $10 a week where I have $2 allotted to each day and still skim off of this a little bit in order for me to be able to eventually get to the goal of what it is that I want, And I believe that we have such privilege and entitlement going on with our kids these days. And I can wear a big smile when I say this because I know that my kids are guilty of it. I'm somewhat guilty of it, but the kids are so entitled and they are so privileged and they are so used to just having and everything just being at their fingertips that they do not consider the process of saving and planning and budgeting and things like that. And so when it is that they do get on their own, they really don't know what to do other than to call back home and say, Mom, I need, Dad, I need, Mom, can you, Dad, can you, Grandma, Grandpa, hey, what's up? I know I didn't come over for Christmas, but, can you do a little something for me? If they are not taught it early enough and it's not made important enough to them in their school years for them to really practice it when they get out. And I think that needs to be integrated into the school system, and that should be one of those milestones that they achieve at the mark of graduation also. But I did notice that you mentioned STEM. That is not, we're not talking about a tree. We're not talking about branches and chlorophyll and all the rest of that. No, leaves. No, we're not doing that. That's not what we're talking about when we talk about STEM in educational terms. I know that it is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That part I know, STEM. But maybe you can give us a little bit more detail about it as to what it is and how it is applied to your school system, because it's not something that we use. We have a few private institutions that are trying to introduce it to us, but it's not widely known here in the Bahamas. So maybe you can give us some insight on it.
Okay, well, yes, because in the United States, when you look at education in a broad sense, as comparing the United States with the rest of the world, China, they are, really up here and everybody else is down here. And
Yes.
it is one of those reasons is because they study all this stuff. While we go to school, we come home, and that's it. They are in school practically all day. They go to school for so many hours, they go home, take a break, and then they go back. So they're studying this stuff. And so when we don't study it, it makes us fall further down in the rank of these important parts of education. Now, as a whole, we have, like in the United States, we have, well, I can't say the entire United States, but in Duval County, we have, what do you call them? We have schools that are magnet schools. And so we might have a magnet school that teaches engineering. We have one that is based on technology. And so we do it that way. But, it really is something that is to help them, because this is where society is going, that technology, science, and we're trying to get on, we not only just trying to look at the universe, but we're trying to go on different planets or whatever. So as much as we can find out about, scientifically is important. And then mathematics, mathematics continues to change. They don't even use the same formulas they did when I was in school. As far as multiplication or whatever, I had to Google and research in order to help my grandson with his multiplication one year. And I was like, because he was like, what is that? That's not how you do it. I was like, what do you mean that's not how you do it? So, all this stuff is ever evolving. So it's really, really important. Now, here in Duval County, my daughter-in-law, she has daycare, a series of daycares. She's trying to get one in every section of town, but that is her model is STEM. So that's what she's teaching. So she has people to come in to teach all types of things. She has them doing media, reporting, so they can do like television segments, teaching them about the weather. They have computers throughout, so they are just teaching them everything, and they're starting, at that early age, which is great. But the school does look at those areas, within that STEM. So, like what is really, really key that they look at, especially when I was talking earlier about those standard tests, are the reading, the math, and the science.
Right.
So even though, you have to have these things when you graduate, where they look at them really closely is the 4th grade and 8th grade. So as far as reading performance, both in the 4th grade area and the 8th grade area are both down. And that is not good at all. And, like I said before, they say that as a race, we don't like to read. But that's why we have to start our kids out reading early, get them to love books. That books are important, so they can begin reading. You need to start reading to them before they can read, and then put those sight words up so they can start reading early. and just get a love for reading, because that's so important. But we are so far down with that. And it just reminds me of a story. My older son would crack me up with this, but when he graduated from high school, and when he went to college, it was like, what had they been teaching them? Because a lot of the courses they had to take, people from his school had to take remedial courses. But one of the biggest things that he would get cracked up on is the reading portion. And he would give examples of, it was just strictly, they just could not read. And I listen to people as adults now when they read, and it's just, it's not so good. So reading is one of the key things, because if you can't read recipes, you can't read directions on anything. And if you misread something, especially as far as taking medication or something, that could be deadly. So that is so important. So we need to, hammer that in, how important reading is. So that's something that we need to get up. As far as mathematics, the 4th grade level was up, but 8th grade is down. And then science, both 4th and 8th grade are up. So those are areas that really need to be worked on in order to get us up higher.
Well, it is not a problem that only you guys are facing. It is definitely a problem that is widespread and very, very open. I'm sure that there's a lot of your viewing audience that would be able to say that even the kids in their own communities, the adults in their own communities that they interact with on a regular basis, they're just not readers. And I think that it is encouraged by media in a way, because I know that instead of us watching the news, we would try and get our information from Facebook. Instead of us picking up a newspaper, we're going to try and get just the little highlights, the little clippings that are posted on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. We would follow a news station or a media outlet on social media just to get the highlights, rather than to sit and actually watch the news report or pick up the newspaper to actually get the details, the more explored details of what a situation is. And that's not even, that's current events, that's day-to-day things. That's not even a book about, I don't even know, a book about cars, a book about science, a book about trees, like those type of things is just not done. It isn't happening because that's not where the interest is. And information is so readily available just to be specific of, I can type in 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm only going to get 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas with a book, you're going to get, well, how did 1 become 1? And why does 2 follow 1? And then you're going to get all of the added information and all of the background knowledge that would come from what it is that you're interested in. But because everything is just a web search away and just a click away, we get that specific information, we get that specific answer. And so our knowledge base doesn't expand because we only wanted the answer to that specific question just to be able to give a response most times. But we don't get into, well, why is it this? Or how did it become this? And when did it first become this? That type of thing is found in a book. That type of thing, that background information is given in pages. And, I am guilty of audiobooks. I am guilty of digital books where it's the pages, but I can read it on my tablet and stuff like that. I am guilty of it. But there's still nothing like black and white. There's nothing like a book that you can pick up when you are just sitting down idle and stuff like that. There's nothing like it. And I think that the younger generations, they are losing the value of it. They're losing their interest in it because other information is very readily available. They don't have to go through 3 pages to get to the one answer that they're looking for. And so I think that may be a part of why reading is having such a steady decline, and not just reading for information's sake, but reading as a pastime. It used to be every library had the banner up where it said reading is your passport to the world, or it's your ticket to the world, or, it takes you on a journey and stuff like that. But no, not so much anymore. It doesn't happen so much. Now, as for math, I would like to believe that there's no replacement for it. That's what I would like to believe, but I just do not know, because I believe that experience is teaching so much that math as a prevention or math as a base of knowledge isn't being used as much as it can be or should be. I know here in the Bahamas, like I said, we have a D average. And so that's around 50 something percent grading scale, like 55 to 65, I believe, grading scale. And so, that's pretty low. That's really, really low. And so our methods have not been tried yet as to how it is we're going to improve on that, but hopefully we can have more persons that are interested in the STEM method, and we'll teach children things that they are interested in. And by association, they'll learn other subjects as well. Because in order for them to conduct the science experiment properly, they have to be able to read the process. In order for them to create the motherboard for a computer, which would be a part of technology and engineering, they have to be able to calculate the distance between each spot and the materials that they need. And so by association, math is involved. So maybe the STEM method is something that we can look into also. And it'll just help us with the reading and the mathematics by association, just because it's an area that the kids are interested in. But what would be some of your suggestions on increasing in all areas, like in other areas of education? What do you think that can be done? Or can you advise us? Maybe you can give us some advice, because we got some stuff going on here.
Well, a lot of this is, just from my observation of whatever. I'm not in the education field, but some of the things that I think is like, the kids are getting graded in certain areas, the schools are being graded. Well, if math and reading and science are key, it's okay to have magnet schools, but you need specialists in every school that is concentrating on those areas. I think, it's not going to help, because every child is not going to get in that magnet school. Just like I think the school for it was an early what we call an early college magnet school first, where you could go in your sophomore year, and then when you graduate, you would have your high school diploma as well as your associate's degree. And Bill Gates donates money to this particular school, so they they're into the technology piece of it. But not everybody can go to that school. The school is only so large, so why not have a specialist in every school for those particular areas? A math specialist, a technology specialist, reading coaches in those areas to help. And when I think about that, that pushes me off to, I know from attending college. In college, you have labs, and so you have writing labs, you have math labs, and so if you having problems in a particular area, or you just want more help, you go there, it's free, and you can get the help that you need. That was how I made it through all these math classes. They have, you got to take algebra, you got to take, you got all these formulas, all this, X and Y and all this. You got to learn all of this stuff. You have people to help you on the college campuses, and most of these are students. So even in your lower grades, you could have high school students that volunteer over there. That could be where they get their community hours. I don't know if you do the same thing in the Bahamas, but in the United States, when a child is graduating and when they get ready to apply for these different colleges, they got to have so many community hours. So that would be a way for them to get community hours, as well as they could give them, a minimal salary. But that is helping them because a lot of them are gifted. And then in the older, higher grades, then you bring in people so that they can have that same type atmosphere where they know where they can get help. They don't have to get stressed out. Here, I know I'm having problems with this. I wrote a paper and it was just horrible. I thought I did such a good job, but I had comma splices. My grammar was incorrect. Where can I get help? My parents can't help me. But you can go to that lab at school and there's someone that can help you. And that would be just, so much help. And then you have a lot of people, retired educators, retired, people that were specialists in different areas. You always hear people say, well, I'm going to retire. I don't know what I'm going to do. Hey, why not volunteer at a school? That's another place where they can get resources to assist and train the children. If not, there's paid tutors, pay. If you can't get people to volunteer, you have to pay. But, the government can print money and whenever they see fit to do certain things. But, I was just heartening, I guess it hurt my heart when we were in COVID and they were talking about all the essential workers. Well, to me, educators are essential workers. If you don't have educators, your children cannot learn. Everybody wants their children to learn, to be better than they are, to progress in life. Well, how are they going to do that if they can't learn? Well, if they don't have educators that are committed to do that, then we're lost. So how essential can you get than that? And then, the pay. Educators are paid, they're not paid minimum wage, but they should be paid, in my opinion, should be paid so much more. Think about what an educator is. That's someone that has the ability and the skills to keep this world going and keep this world more educated and to grow and to learn more and know more. Your child needs assistance. It's the educators that can help them. You've probably been out of school so long, you're not the one that can help. So we need to find ways, to get more funds into the school system so we can pay our educators more. When those educators, when they come out of college and they don't have all that student debt because that state is wiping out that student debt if you're going into the education field. I know a lot of states do that, and I think somebody corrected me that they're doing that more now countrywide. But, that's going back into your economy, so why not do some of the things that's going to assist? And then, of course, we want our children to have everything because I gave my children everything I thought they might want. But we have to use judgment with that as well. You can have this, I got it for you, I want you to enjoy it, but as well, you have to do different things. I know my youngest son was coming up. Every day at 7:30, he knew what he was going to be doing, and that was watching Jeopardy. That was something that was educational. he could learn, be focused. And to me, it really, really helped him in school. But that was something he did, so I continue to do it today. I don't know if he's still doing that, but he didn't miss a Jeopardy episode because what you get so much knowledge from Jeopardy. So sometimes you have to think of creative ways to get your children involved and wanting to learn to do things.
I am impressed by your son's interest in Jeopardy. I have found myself using it many times on Netflix as one of those things, when it's hard to sleep or you're trying to take your mind off of the events of the day. And so you just put on something that's like kind of numbing and repetitive, as bad as it may sound. But having it on in the background without actually looking at it, because I'm not usually looking at the screen, I'm just listening to it so that I can have something else to focus on that, I don't have to pay too much attention to. And then you find that, hold on, you know what, I could actually answer that question. I know the answer to this, I know the answer to that, or I was close to the answer to this. And for him to be interested in it at such a young age, I am very happy that you encouraged it and that you fostered it, because I know that it's not a common thing at that age. Usually a kid is not getting up at 7 a.m. to watch Jeopardy. They're getting up to watch cartoons. They're getting up to check out something on the internet or something like that. And so it's great that you fostered that in him. And I'm sure that it helped him to be the productive young man that he is now. As for us with education, I believe that what we need to do is look at other avenues, allow other avenues to be introduced. I know that we have a lot of teachers here that are in our government school system that look at the ABECA system, which is what my school uses. And it is a very phonetically strong system. We have kids that are still considered babies that are reading, or they are identifying letters and their sounds, or they're starting to put small words together and things like that. And so our age grouping is for preschool to be age 1 to age 5 in September, which would be K5, and then our first graders are 6 years old. And in our government school system, we recently, I would say about 3 years ago, the government started taking on preschool initiatives, whereas they opened their preschool. I think they had 3 preschools open previous to that, but they partnered with private preschools to allow students that would be considered government students. They would apply through the government system to attend a private institution. And the government would give the school a stipend for allowing their students to be a part of our private school system. And so that is a part of their initiative to curb this little de-average behavior that we have. And I applaud them for it. But it makes it easier on the first graders, because our government first grade starts at age 5. And so this preschool program is done for age 3 and 4 at private institutions, and then they are government school age appropriate. And so they're able to move over into the government system at that point. And the amount of information that they can get being in an ABECA school and other preschools, I'm sure, in just that K3 year and K4 year, it makes that first grade year in a government school so much easier. And it makes it such a great head start to the rest of their foundational learning, And so I understand the thought behind what it is that they are doing. And hopefully if we continue to have these talks and we go into another 12 years with this, we'll be able to see the difference of what happened from them introducing this program now to our average by the time as this group of kids get to graduate at 12. Hopefully the average will be a lot better. And that would be one of the things that would have made a great impact on our average and our graduates and their preparation for being able to handle themselves and be productive members of society. Because who child?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, is there anything else that you want to leave with us today, Miss Deborah?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything. The one thing I did not mention is, and I don't know, here, as far as if a teacher wants to decorate their classroom or they feel like they need different resources, they only give them a small amount of money and they have to come out of pocket for anything else. Now they do have what is it called? The teacher depot. Each year, right before school, the teachers line up and they have where people have donated stuff and they get to go there and pick up some different items. But other than that, it's out of pocket. So, again, this is everybody's children. Why should a teacher have to go out of pocket to get those essentials that they need, to gain the children's attention, to make teaching creative? Because, it doesn't matter. You can be the best educator in the whole world. If you can't grasp those kids' attention, it's for naught. Because, if you up there teaching and I'm, throwing spitballs and talking and whatever, and I'm not really focused on what you're doing, I'm not learning. So then my grades are not going to be that good, nor the school. So, it would be helpful if the teachers were able to get more resources that they can utilize in school, because again, it's helping the children. It's not for them, it's for the children. So I just admire educators, and I just think all of you educators are doing a wonderful job. And that's one area that the government really needs to look into and put more funds into.
I entirely agree with you. And when it is that you mentioned the teacher depot, I'm like, what in the world is that? Because we do not have that. That's not something that I'm familiar with. I don't know if any of the other educators that are out there, maybe you can fill me in, give me that little hookup, let me know where it's at, where they distribute in and stuff like that. But that's not something that we're familiar with here. And so for the corporate America, for the corporate Bahamas, for the entrepreneurs and those organizations that love to give donations, that may be something that can be looked at. Because usually at back to school time, what happens here is that it's somewhat made political. I will be very honest with you. It's made political in a sense because each of the parliamentarians that are responsible for a constituency, that's how our voting system is done. Each area of the islands or each outer island, family island, is responsible, has a parliamentarian that's responsible for them. And so that person usually would have a back to school event and they'd be giving out school supplies and stuff like that to persons in their constituency. And that's all fine and well, but it's not teacher specific the way that you're mentioning. And so at the end of that, we still have, my cousin is a teacher. She is an awesome, awesome government school teacher. And she tells me, listen, if you know about any of the constituencies that giving out school supplies or whatever, let me know. Because what she does is she stacks up. Even though they're giving out 2 books and 3 pencils and a pack of crayons and whatever else at the beginning of the year, that doesn't last through to November.
Right.
I won't even get into January, March. That doesn't last through to November. And so she goes and she'll hop to the different constituency giveaway things, and she'll stack up and she'll put them in her classroom. And then as the students run out of pencils and they run out of books or they lose their book and things like that, she's able to replenish it without having to go into her pocket to do it. And it is very unfortunate that that's a measure that's taken. But I believe that what you mentioned as, you know, the teacher's resource, that would be something that would be great for us here. And if we have any persons that are on the call that feel that they can start something like that for us, and God touches their heart and says it's going to be you that brings that project to the Bahamas, or somebody that's in the US who's willing to do it, I am all for it. And that would be great, absolutely great. But I believe that they should not have to reach into their pockets. I believe that they will never be paid enough.
Right.
You can never truly pay them enough to do what it is that they do and to actually match their worth. Because, you know, teachers create every other profession.
Right.
Teachers train and prepare us for every other profession. Well, except probably a YouTuber or something like that, because, you know, it's a thing now, or an Instagram model. But teachers prepare you for every other profession. They're the gateway and the introduction to everything else that you could want to do. So they're very important. And they are the ones that get us to these graduation days and this graduation season, and help us to get to this point where we feel like we're prepared for the rest of the world and we can take on anything. So, are you going to show us that book cover this morning?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
Of course. Yes, but somebody needs to get that started. That would be such a great thing. So hopefully share this all over, and that would be a great resource for all the teachers. But I'll talk with you about it more. But yes, thank you everyone for tuning in this morning. I think we had a great real talking about graduating and how important it is and what leads up to that point. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for everyone that tuned in this morning. You could have been anywhere else, so we really appreciate you joining us. My website is up on the screen, www.buildyourbestlife.org. Please visit my website. From there, you can get to all my social media platforms. But on my website, you can read my blog that comes out every Monday. You can find out more about the platform, my calendar of events, and on my web store, all the services that I offer, which is coaching, consultations, speaking, webinar speaking, and of course, you can get an autographed copy of my book, Build Your Best Life. And it is a great reading resource that will help young people, parents, coaches, pastors, mentors, anyone that wants to be their best or assist someone else in being their best. And as I said, you can go on my website and get an autographed copy. And it doesn't matter if you're in the Bahamas, you can still get an autographed copy quickly. Anastasia has copies there in the Bahamas, so just go on the website. You may make a great late Father's Day gift, as well as graduation time, great grad gift, birthdays, any occasion, and just so you can start reading. You know, somebody out there needs to make it a point to start reading today. It is essential. So thank you so much again for tuning in. Thank you all for your comments. Please share this video. And as you travel on your road to being the best you, you will run into distractions, pitfalls, rough terrain, and detours. Don't let any of these negative aspects of your journey stop you. Keep going to be the best you so that you can build your best life. And before I close out, Anastasia, tell them about becoming.
It is a little bit of a tongue twister, but yeah, be becoming. It is teacher coaching, it is curriculum building, it is youth mentorship. And so the idea behind it and the movement behind it is that we should always be becoming. We should never be stuck in any one place. We should never be in one position for too long. We should always be moving forward into something else and growing into another phase of our life. And so that's where Be Becoming has come from. And I would love to be able to help someone to become the best that they can be.
Thank you, Anastasia. And everyone, please enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay dry, stay safe. And remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan. It's our commitment. Love you. Be blessed.